So some people asked us, why did we move to Central America? And I think there's a lot of reasons why. It was the rising cost of living. We're also, all three of us are neurodivergent, so it just presents a lot of challenges for us. And we found that there's, where we are currently right now in Costa Rica, is that there's a lot of resources and support for autistic people and neurodivergent people. So that's largely why we're here. But originally we went to Panama to see what it was like there, and we started off in the city. We were brand new. We didn't really understand a lot. We had done lots of research on everything, but it was still a learning experience, and it was still shocking. Thankfully, the people in Latin America so far are incredibly nice. They're incredibly supportive. But one thing I can say for Panama is when we got there, we wanted to go explore. We wanted to get an idea of what it was like to live in Panama. So we went to lots of places, including the mall, and we got to walk around there and see what it looked like. And one of the things that stuck out to us is how modern it was. For me, purchasing items in Panama was very easy because of the exchange rate. It's a dollar for dollar. So if something in Panama costs $1.50, it's going to cost $1.50 in US dollars as well. And most places do take American dollars, so that's not a problem. And it's also very common if you were to pay in Panama Balboa, which is the currency there. If you were to pay in Balboa, you would very likely get changed back in both Balboa and USD dollars. So you usually will end up getting a mixture back anyway, so it doesn't really matter what you pay with. The other thing that's helpful with the money is the coins at least are very similar. So like the pennies are the same size, they're the dimes, they're the same size, quarters the same size, and they even have those rough little ridges around the outside of them. So there's a lot of similarities. So it can be very confusing trying to determine if it's a American dollar or American coin or a Balboa coin, because the color and the size are almost exactly the same. I think one of the things that we noticed also is housing is a lot different. It's cheaper. In Panama, usually you're going to, rent a house, and it's going to come with most things paid for. So you're going to have your electricity paid for, your water paid for, your cable paid for, gas paid for. So everything's going to be included. And for us, we were renting a place that had 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a very nice, very large kitchen that was really like a living room of its own. We had a living room, a gated yard, very large backyard with fruit trees and a coffee tree. It was just a very large house, and we were paying like $850 for that a month, everything included. I think the only thing that we covered actually was the trash. So the trash there is something you do pay for to have it collected. They come by in a big truck and they pick it up. But it was basically the equivalent of about 25 cents per bag. And so it still wasn't expensive. It was very, very cheap. So housing there was very cheap, a lot cheaper than what we were paying in Texas. And food there was not too bad. If you go to a Panamanian place, there were lots of Panamanian places there. You could get lots of food for a very cheap price, and groceries were cheaper than the United States. You can take a look here at some of the prices for some normal items that we would get. That's one of the main things that I think a lot of people want to see, is how much do items cost? How much do groceries cost? And these are some of the prices that we saw when we were down in Panama. Now, one of the things that got me a little bit is in the country, specifically in the country, like out in Volcan, more out in the countryside. food is not always prepared very well. So that's one thing that concerned me greatly. Is it's very common to see people cook meat and then just put it up on a shelf somewhere until you buy it. And you don't want to drink the water out in the country, but you can buy large amounts of water for fairly cheap price. Like we went out and got these giant like 15-liter things of water for like $5 a piece, and that was like water for a month. We didn't use the water for anything else. Now the house that we were at, they had a big water containment place, so the city water goes into their water storage, and then that water feeds into your house. So that's something to look out for, to make sure it's clean, because the one that we had was not clean. After we left Panama, just because it's a great place to go, the city was much more built up, but still I want to say more traditional. You know, if you can kind of take a look at what some of the area looked like, this is very traditional. And it's because they're still developing, they're still developing more modern technologies. Not that they don't have them anywhere, they absolutely have some great tech and modern things available, but it's not everywhere yet. So we ended up moving to Costa Rica, where we heard that it's, while it is a little bit more expensive, it has a very large community of expats and neurodiverse people in the San Jose area. So that's where we started out, and it was very similar to Panama, except for a few things. There was a lot more modern conveniences, but yeah, I think Panama, the issue with Panama is it's not developed enough, and it's just much more difficult to do things. But if you're just going to retire, you're wanting to get a cheap place to go retire, that where you can just hang out and just enjoy incredibly beautiful sceneries, then it's not going to be a problem. The houses there are very pretty, and you can find some American-built houses that are just gorgeous. The house that we were in was still one of my favorite houses to be in. However, we did find some scorpions in the house, so that's something to be aware of. Is depending on where you are, there might be some animals that you might want to try to keep out. But back again in Costa Rica, we've been traveling around Costa Rica quite a bit, and there are a lot more conveniences. So we can get into some of those things if you're curious, but I think we can show you some of the groceries. The grocery prices again. We'll go through some of the prices so you can kind of see here the kinds of things that we've bought, the kinds of things that the kinds of things there are available here. So we do grocery shopping. We go to the mall. We've been to the movie theaters. We've gone to an amusement park here that's very similar to Six Flags. So there's just a lot to do out here in Costa Rica. Generally, everything is cleaner, much cleaner. Prices are similar. They might be like $50 more, maybe, but maybe $100 more. But it just kind of depends. Right now, things are kind of a little different because inflation is so high, and it's affecting everywhere in the world, including here. But because it is cheaper here, it's still cheaper than what we would be paying in the United States by almost $1,000 as far as living. Right now we're living in a very modern, very nicely air-conditioned 2-bedroom apartment with a large balcony and 2 bathrooms and a walk-in closet. And it's we're paying $1,000 with everything included. Now this place has a swimming pool, it has a weight room, and right outside the gates is a bowling place to go bowling. Now there are casinos here as well, so you will find casinos around it. That's something you enjoy. But on the other side of us is a plaza. It's still not really being built. It's completed, but the stores have not started moving in yet. So it almost looks like an abandoned mall, except for certain things like Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. You will find all of those modern places to eat here too. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a lot more to do here, and it's just easily accessible. Whether you want to go to a theme park, a water park, you want to go to the ballet, you want to go to look at a museum, whether it's an art museum or a history museum, anything you're wanting to find is pretty much here. And it's very safe here. You know, it's again, it's very safe. We've never encountered anything that we could describe as a crime. You know, nothing's ever been done to us. We've never had any kind of danger or anything. People here are just working families, and you see that a lot. You see people coming home from work. You see men or women walking down the streets to go to the groceries, and or to get to a bus or wherever. You know, they're just people just living their lives here, and I think that's great. People here, again, they're very helpful, they're very nice, and they seem to be very concerned about making sure that you feel comfortable and accepted. And so it's a really great place, but we're gonna keep exploring, and we'll bring you along with us as we do that.